Okay. Is it 5 o'clock?
Okay, you call the meeting to order. I'd like to call this meeting to order as Vice President, acting as President. Okay. So let's see. The first order of business for you guys is appointment of a new board member and reappointment of the current board members. The bylaws of this corporation state that the existing board appoints a new board member. So we have Laura Noble here. And as you all know, Ron Fogus passed away, so he was a board member that Laura will be replacing if she's approved by you all. So we would need a motion and a second to approve Laura Noble to the board effective today.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Don't know what I've got myself into, but all right. Good team of people.
Okay, so this is a 4-person board, correct?
It is a 5-person board. We only have 4 persons on it currently. Yeah. And then you also need to reappoint Tony Holland, Mary Kay Cardinal, and Bruce Chin to the board. So if y'all can get a motion to do that in a second.
Can I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion. Can we do them all at once then? I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So do we want to seek out a 5th person here? I mean, is that?
Yes. Yeah. If y'all have ideas.
If you have ideas, yes.
Close them to us. And then the third thing that we should do before we get into the actual meat of the meeting, if you will, is talk about officers. So the current officers, as of the last time we met, were Ron as president, you, Bruce, as vice president, and Mary Kay as secretary treasurer. Wow. It's King Kong.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
So one consideration just as to who would be president and secretary is, it seems like you guys are all around, but if there's folks that are just more accessible and always around, I guess the next step here would be for you guys to have a meeting, hopefully before the school board next month, and then there'll be some documents for you to sign. So the president and the secretary will need to sign. So that's the only real, maybe
I think all 4 of us are.
Yes.
Yeah, and then if the president wasn't around or the secretary wasn't around, then the vice president can sign or the other member can sign.
Are you good with being secretary again? You're good at that? I'll do this if nobody else, if you guys want to do this.
That's
I
fine.
think you do a swell job.
Someone make a motion.
Make a motion to.
I make a motion that you are new president, you are recurring back. Either way, Mary Kay, you're our secretary. Please.
Okay, I'll second.
And then we also need a vice president.
Okay.
Yes.
Only one left.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, all in favor of those officers, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
So that brings us to the actual business at hand, and I would like John or Jacob to kind of explain where we are, what needs to happen.
Jacob McClellan with Bose McKinney and Evans. I know some of you guys have been through this before. This is one of the final steps for the issuance of a bond for the school. Statutorily, Indiana municipal entities have a limit on debt that they can take out. And so statutorily, they're allowed to issue debt through a building corporation. It's much like jails are financed or town halls are financed. So you guys are essentially kind of a pass-through for the school to be able to issue bonds for improvements. The main documents are this lease that you would consider a resolution on tonight. You guys have title to, man, that's heavy stuff. Let's go to that
I still didn't stop.
So you guys have title to the high school and Legion Field, and when improvements are made, the theory is that there's more value to those. Your lease payments then line up with the amount put in the bond issue, and those lease payments are assigned to a trustee, and the trustee uses the lease payments to make bond payments. And because it's a true lease, if something happened, if the school burned down and the field got destroyed, you guys have rental value insurance to cover the rebuilding. And so that's how it's not debt. As far as process, tonight is the resolution before you would be to consider an amendment to the lease, and I should take a step back. Whenever schools issue, they can do standalone trust indentures that they issue their bond under. The trust indenture is kind of a trust agreement with a trustee that kind of manages the fund. So the school makes payments to the trustee divvies those up to bondholders. When bonds are sold, the proceeds of the bonds come into the trust indenture, trust agreement, and the school can disperse them for their project. And the lease is kind of the same way. You make the payment on the lease, but the payment on the lease is assigned to the trustee to make the payment to bondholders. But every time you want to borrow, you could do a standalone indenture or lease. But when the asset is already held by the building corporation, you just do a supplement to the indenture and an amendment to the lease. So what you have before you is we have a lease that has been through a few amendments, and it'll be a 10th amendment to lease. And the payments included in there are not to exceed payments. When we actually go to price the bonds, we will have an addendum to the lease at closing that will make the payments line up with the payments on the bonds, plus about $1,500 every 6 months to make the payments to the trustee and for kind of incidental expenses that could arise. So that's why it's a 10th amendment to lease. And then as far as timing, tonight's for the consideration of the lease amendment. In November, assuming you guys meet at the same time or right before the school board, it would be consideration of a resolution authorizing bond documents. We anticipate, I've given you guys the planning calendar. I'm confused these because we have a few of these going on.
Mid-December.
Yes, so we would price the bonds late November, and price the bonds means they're sold through, you guys are using Mesero as the underwriter. That day they will sign a bond purchase agreement and lock in the rates. And there's usually a 2 to 3 week period from when they lock in the rates at the end of November, where we as your council fill in all the documents. So like not the lease, but next month you'll have forms of bond documents. We'll fill in all the final numbers in those, send them down to John to get signed, and then we will handle the closing with the underwriter and the trustee. And funds would be available if we stick to our timetable in mid-December. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I guess the resolution before you essentially just authorizes that 10th amendment to the lease. High level, there are a number of projects included. We don't have to do all of the projects, but we've authorized all of the projects in your resolution on Exhibit A. That includes the description of the projects. And we have already been through a couple of public hearings with the school board. Because of the size of this project, it was considered a controlled project. So we had to run some potential scenarios statutorily and put those out in public notices in the newspaper and hold a bunch of public hearings. But the not to exceed amount is $11 million. The not to exceed term for each series of bonds is 20 years, and the not to exceed term for the actual lease is 26 years. That would provide flexibility if you guys got into a situation where you wanted to issue more than one series. So if you said, hey, we only want $4 million this year because of timing issues, you could issue one series this year and then come back and issue some next year whenever you needed funds. I think the plan, though, is to you guys actually have a need for all those funds.
Yes. So the plan right now is to issue about $10 million, primarily to build an auxiliary gym. It'll be 2 gym floors and a new weight room, plus some facilities that we are in need of. We lost some gym space when we sold the junior high, and we never got it back. So that is where around 7.2, 7.5 million of that will go. The rest of it will go to HVAC improvements, primarily at William Tell, because our new building is now 26 years old. And it's some of its HVAC is starting to show its age. So we'll start replacing those above the roof or above the room units with the remainder of this money. And what we've done is we've staggered our debt. Instead of taking out big chunks that take 30 years to pay back, we're borrowing in about 10-year increments. I know Jacob said not to exceed 20 years, but we're looking at a 10-year window to pay these back, so that debt will then fall off again and we can reissue it and keep doing manageable size projects every few years. So that's kind of the plan for that money at this point.
So John, do you feel good about all this?
Absolutely. This is a need that the community has expressed. The board is very supportive of this building. And once again, you know, we're replacing chillers, we're replacing those kinds of things that are going to keep the building safe and secure for all of our kids going forward.
And you said it's been talked about at a couple of board meetings.
Yes.
If you look at that time, that timetable, I mean, it was talked about for a couple board meetings before this timetable. And then there was a public hearing on August 5th, another one on August 12th. There'll be another public hearing at the school board meeting tonight on the project as well.
Has anybody come to those and expressed any?
They've been held at the regular meetings, so I mean, there have been people in attendance. We had a work session for about an hour and a half with the architects 3 weeks ago, and no one came to that. But it is all broadcast, so anybody can get on there and see what we've said.
So where will this new building be?
It'll be just outside the swimming pool if you walk out these side doors here. So it'll just basically extend this way between the building and the bus garage.
In the grassy area, there's a sidewalk that goes to the pavement.
John, you may have said this over Jacob, but I think it's important that people know we have 2 other bond issues that are being paid off. This one will replace it, so tax rate is, there should not be a change in the tax rate or levy.
Yes, we've structured this to only replace the debt that we're losing, so there should be no impact on the taxpayer.
That's one other thing, and you guys have a TIF area, I think that's kind of gonna roll off, so you'll have some benefit there. And I would just add that, the school's been really good about keeping a list of capital projects and really planning for this, as opposed to just, we have some clients that we tell like, hey, you should plan and you should think about we've had some that lock up their debt for 20 years and then can't do anything, and then they struggle if there's a roof issue or what have you. So you guys have been really proactive and are in a good spot to deal with everything that the legislature throws your way, I suppose.
I personally am excited about this. I think this has been needed for a long time. Shogo says that we can afford this. Debbie's explained that. So what do you need from us? You need somebody to make a motion to get this.
Yeah, a motion on that resolution and then a vote on that resolution. And then before you guys go, there was a resolution for the appointments and then the resolution that you're considering now. And then a form amendment to the lease.
All right, so we've been approved as members, so I'm entertaining a motion to approve what they need to go with this
So
project.
that's the resolution.
It's the resolution.
I've got 2 resolutions.
Yeah, there's 2. The first one was, all the work with the director, with you guys, trustees and officers and all. And then the second one is approving the lease, which is here.
Okay, that's what I've got right here.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve those 2 resolutions.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
And our next meeting, which you already know about, will be November
13th.
Sounds right.
I've lost my time.
Second.
November 11th.
November 11th at the same time, 5 o'clock
5
right
o'clock.
here.
Okay.
We'll send you an email to remind y'all.
Yep.
To make sure you're here. And that's all the other business. That's all the business we have today, except you'll need to sign these resolutions.
Do you have, I've got the 3
I'll
copies if
just,
you
I'll
want.
just make one other comment. We talked about, if any of you think you know somebody that would be good on this, won't you reach out to me and then I'll get a hold of these guys and bounce some names off. I mean, we got 5 people, we might as well try to get somebody else involved. That's just another.
Makes it easier in a pinch too, for quorum issues. you know.
Sure.
So let's just do it like that. That work?
John, are you okay with the tax return?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Numbers.
This is just informational piece, nothing to be voted on, but as the the School Building Corporation. More for your benefit, Laura, since you're new, you are required to file an annual tax return. Mary Kay's very familiar with this. Russ Terry with Terry and Associates takes care of this return. He has for several years. Marsh Terry and Associates is their official name. So I have the return here. It's been electronically filed. This is the most recent one. I also have the one that was filed last year. So I don't believe you met last year. If anyone wants to look at it, you're more than welcome. But as a tax exempt organization, there are no taxes owed. However, there has been an IRS notice issued claiming that we owe a couple $1,000s in taxes. Wes is working on that. I checked in with him the other day and he said right now with the government shutdown, he's not expecting to get an answer soon, but he has been in contact with them to get that resolved. That's it. Anyone wants to look at it? Here we go.
You got your notary, Debbie?
I do not.
Can I leave it with you and have you know?
Yes. Does it have to have the stamp on it?
We'll record it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can run over and get it.
It doesn't have, I can leave it with you.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get it to me later.
All right.
Before we record the proposal.
Yeah, we'll bring it to the next meeting. You can just bring it to November 11th meeting.
Okay.
Notarized.
Let's see. Here are the two resolutions for you.
Well, I have this in the full school board.
Yeah, I think it Debbie.
Should probably run over here.
How about mine last class? It's gonna take a while, but. Yep.
That all you signed?
Every board member needs to sign that, Jacob.
Yeah, the resolutions.
Yeah, so sign those two.
Oh, sorry.
And the bonus is when this is all done, you guys will have your names on a bronze plaque.
See how old I am? See how old I am?
You wanna hang on to these? You want me to scan?
Just what y'all need is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce, we can adjourn anytime.
Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Thank you all for your efforts here.
I've been doing this so long that I think some of the plaques my name has been honored.